Alright, hey guys, welcome back to yet another discussion video on Cyberpunk. And right now we're going to be talking about console players, PS4, PS5, what's it called? I don't know exactly the Xboxes. I was always a PlayStation guy, so I know Xbox One is the newer one. I don't know what the older one is, but yeah. Let's talk about consoles. Let's see how it's doing on consoles. And by the post you see pull up right here, it's not doing great. So if you have a PC, just some backstory. If you have a PC, it's very, how can I say this? You have options. You have options like even if the game is very unoptimized like it currently is, you still have options to go all the way to the lowest settings. You still have options on stuff you can do on your desktop, through your computer, and stuff of that nature, right? To give you a playable experience. On consoles, not very much, and it's kind of a problem, right? I haven't played a long time. I got the PS4 when it first came out, but then I didn't play it that much, right? Still have it it's sitting in my room. I'm looking at it right now, but you know, I don't know how much options you have on the lowering stuff, but I'm pretty sure. Well, obviously, it's not as much as PC. So people right now are having a lot of problems, and a lot of these posts right here or they're getting a lot of attention because if we check this right over here, about 41% of pre-orders were on consoles. So that's a lot. These are just pre-orders, right? There's still people buying right now. There's currently right now people are still buying the game on different consoles. So that's a lot of people, and obviously a percentage of this is the newer consoles like PS5, Xbox One. But at the same time, there's not that many of those out. There's not that many consoles out because obviously we had that whole scalper thing and all that stuff, right? Where almost all of them were bought out, right? So a lot of these are older generation. These are PS4s and the what's it called? The Xbox that came before Xbox One. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that are having a very, very hard time playing the game right now. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to read what this person had to say. A lot of people did agree with him. A lot of people. It's every hour is getting, I'm saying, a couple hundred more upvotes. So I wanted to read what he has to say and see his perspective on it since I'm currently playing on the PC. We've read a couple of these before, but this one looks a little bit more detailed. So let's do it. Story time. All right, attention CD Project Red. You owe those of us that bought your game on base PS4 and Xbox One as an explanation. Also, before I start this, um, look, the game is great. I like the game. I just think it's very poorly optimized. That's just my take, right? It's a lot of people's take, and it's very true for regardless of what you're playing on. It's unoptimized on almost everything that you can possibly play it on, and that's a big problem. And I think it's good to address these problems and to same way as he is as same way he's addressing the problem. I think making a video on it also helps address the problem and kind of let more people know and advise people. But let's do it. So, leading up to the launch, CD Projekt Red went on record to say that Cyberpunk 2077 runs surprisingly well on base versions of PS4 and Xbox One. So, Xbox One was the one previous, right? Okay. I really haven't bought, I've never owned an Xbox in my life. I played on one. My friends had it, but I never really, you know what I mean? I just grew up on PS. I never even really tried it, to be honest with you. But this was reassuring news to those of us that haven't upgraded yet, but we're looking forward to a game that had been in development for a better part of a decade. In the midst of all that, Witcher 3 was released and was upgraded by many gamers as the best game of the entire generation. That is true. A lot of people view that game as the best game of the entire generation. Okay. With one game, CG Projekt Red has gained the reputation of being one of the best developers in the world. That is true. And another thing I want to just point out, with this launch, even though the performance isn't bad, you have to understand CD Projekt Red is in terms of game developers, they're definitely top 7. Now, in terms of just fame and all that stuff, people are not going to be waiting for their games. The amount of people that bought this, the amount of people that is just insane. This is like, if you think about, this is like the one of the most hyped and most, I'm pretty sure bought and played games in years that we've had, and it's crazy if you really think about it in the scope of like, you know, like they're not even like, well they kind of are, but they just, the amount of games they have under their belt to be doing these type of numbers is insane. It's crazy, and it's a good job by them. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, congrats. Just hopefully they can focus in, hone in, get that performance done. Because if that performance gets fixed, this game is just, you know what I mean? Like it's just you know what I mean? Like that's it. It's over. This is this. You know what I mean? If they can get a fix, like I'll say by the end of the month, some type of fix or a hot fix, just like this game will be it. This will be it. The only thing that's dragging it right now is the performance. That's it. The story is good. The content's good. Just overall, everything's good. The gameplay is good. The gunfights are good. It's just performance. And that's a big part of a game. Let's keep reading. But in the week leading up to the launch, we found out the game had leaked early, as all games do. Reports began surfacing the game ran horribly on the base PS4 and Xbox One. Don't worry, the day one patch will address those issues, was the common response. And that's assuming that you didn't believe that someone claiming to have the game early was lying. Well, yeah, okay. Here's the thing. This right here, the day one patch, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Day one patches, day zero patches, whatever you want to call them, they're always overhyped. They're always looked at like they're like the savior that's gonna literally, you know what I mean, save any problems that the game might have had for like the early reviewers, and then on day one all of it will be cleansed. It never happens. And I've never seen it happen. I've never seen a day one patch actually do what it was supposed to do. It's always very underwhelming. It fixes very, very minor issues, and then, that's just how it goes. Let's keep reading. And yet through all that time, CD Projekt Red flat out refused to let any footage of last-gen versions of the game be shown. Why? Were they not confident? Would the game truly run as early owners claimed? Or were those people lying / exaggerating? That's another thing that's going around. Look, I don't like spreading negative stuff, but I'm just, there's a theory going around that the reason a lot of these reviewers and what's it called? And the reviewers even mention that CD Projekt Red told them not to use anything but the cinematics and the previously dropped gameplay that they have dropped themselves. And a lot of people are saying that that was kind of shady in a way because it didn't really show the normal gameplay experience that people will have, if that kind of makes sense, right? Alrighty, well, day one is officially upon us. We have the patch, we have the game. We're incredibly let down by what we're seeing. Look, obviously the game won't look as good as it does on PC, okay? No one expected that. Yes, we know the upgraded version of last-gen consoles and current gen will run games better than the base versions, okay? But what we have here is insulting and a slap to the face to all of us that haven't upgraded and trusted CD Projekt Red because of their reputation. Nothing about this game runs surprisingly well. I'm surprised that the game ended up running worse than I expected based on reports from early owners. So here we are with a game that struggles to maintain even 20 frames per second, blurry graphics that are hard on the eyes, and pop-in is atrocious and immersion breaking. 30 minutes into the game, I already caught the attention of law enforcement for crashing into a pedestrian that didn't even show up until about 5 seconds after I hit him. So a lot of rendering issues. Okay. You know what it reminds me of? When I was on vacation, I brought my Beep laptop along with me and tried running games at below minimum PC settings. We've all tried that before. If you have a laptop, you've all tried that before. I've tried that before. I tried. Yeah, of course they ran horribly, and yet that's the only thing that I can compare Cyberpunk 2077 on PlayStation 4 with. A game that clearly wasn't designed with my outdated hardware in mind. Fine, so why didn't they tell us instead of reassuring their entire fan base that the game will run surprisingly well on the last-gen consoles after the day one patch? I think, look. I'm not trying to be that guy. But from a financial standpoint, you know exactly why they did it. That's not, look, okay, and me saying that is not me like trying to like bash them or me trying to like, you know what I mean? It's just like, how can I explain it? You want the best when you're working on something for so long. You want the best. You wanna spread joy to people, right? And sometimes it goes too far. You say stuff like surprisingly well, and then all of a sudden it's not surprisingly well. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like I don't know. I don't think they did it for like a I don't think they did it in a very malicious intent, but I just think there was a lot of oversight and a lot of underperformance when it came to the performance dev team. You know, whoever worked on the engine and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Where were we at? How about just don't release it on the older hardware if it can't run the game at an acceptable level? Sure, that decision will hurt the reputation, but you know what hurts the reputation even more? Promises the game would run fine on older consoles, only for us to find out after buying the game that the optimization is terrible. True. I believe that. True. Here's their one and only saving grace, though. One thing that I do like that I saw was that they said that once you do upgrade, you will have it for free. If they stick to their word by that, and that is the truth, and that is the whole truth, then you will get it just for free as soon as you upgrade, let's say, to a PS5. While I still think this was not acceptable to be launched on the older consoles, if this is really the state of it, where 20 frames, barely any loading in, if that's the current state, then I think it's still not acceptable to be launched that way, right? But I do think that the free upgrade is a very good thing. You know, um, those two things aren't kind of like, how can I say this? They don't balance each other out. Those are two separate entities, if that kind of makes sense. So I'm not sure. I don't know where I'm trying to go with that, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of game studios out there that have resold their game like 17 different times. I'm not gonna name them. Not gonna name them. You know who they are. Come on now. But all right, let's keep reading. Promising us the game would run fine on our older consoles only for... Okay, no. We already read that. Alright. I don't want to say the game has worse graphics on PS4/Xbox One, but it is one of the worst looking games on the consoles, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is the game's graphics are clearly good. That's the problem. These consoles can't keep up with those graphics, so they run the game poorly instead, and it breaks any sense of immersion. That's what I mean when I say... that it's one of the poorest looking games that I've seen in a while. That sucks because clearly there is a good game buried underneath all this stuff. But it is so hard to enjoy the good things when the game runs so terribly that it's distracting. True. Look at this statement, man. That's a quote. Look, here's the thing. I enjoy the game a lot. I've already said it before. I've said it plenty of times. I enjoy the game. I'm still playing it. You know what I mean? I'm kind of addicted, low key. I like it a lot. But it's just like... I could hear my PC out there, you know what I mean, working away it's full blast. It's an industrial fan, you know what I mean? Like it's full blast. It's the CPU is just like it's never worked this hard in its life, you know what I mean? And it's just I don't know. It's just like there's some games where I can just get lost in it for a couple hours. I mean, not for a couple hours, for like the whole day if I want to, right? But this game, it's like I play it for a couple hours and then I shut it off for a little bit, cause I'm just like, you can take a break. Then I go downstairs. You know what I'm saying? I live in an apartment, so I go downstairs, take a little break, and I just cool down, let my PC cool down, and then I go back in. If that kind of makes sense. And I think like, yeah, kind of hinders the experience in a way, right? So. CD Projekt Red, you clearly have a lot on your plate after this launch. Bugs are certainly an issue, and I'm sure those will be addressed, but what about those of us on last-gen consoles that paid full price for the game doesn't run at anything close to an acceptable level? I'd really like to know what the developers plan to do about this. Is there even anything they can do, or will the consoles forever be doomed to not play the game properly due to an outdated hardware? We bought your product because we trusted you. When you said the game would run surprisingly well for us, and we've seen the exact opposite of that, you owe us an explanation, and we would really like to know the future of what you... Wait. We'd like to know what you plan to do to the... I cannot read, I'm sorry. I'm reading too fast. And we would really like to know what you plan to do for those of us that haven't upgraded consoles that expected you to deliver on your promise. Sincerely, PS4 and Xbox owners. A lot of people agree with this statement. Let's see, since we started reading this, did it go up? It went up. And as you can see, it's still going up. There's some jokes. Maybe they meant to say it works, surprisingly. And then well. We'll be very telling how they respond. Yeah, look, they got to respond with another yellow screen, man. Look. We've been going with these yellow screens. I think their performance needs to be addressed in one of those big yellow screens. I think it just needs to be. You know what I mean? I think it needs to happen. Everyone's saying get new consoles then is hilarious. Yeah, it's those guys who are just like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you, homeless? Just buy a house, man. What are you doing? You know what I mean? It's those same people who would say something like that, would say this because they're like, oh, well, it's not the same because, you know, a house is this and it's the same context. This wouldn't be an issue if they didn't constantly reassure us that the game ran fine. If they came out and said the game runs bad on old consoles, we won't lie. We wouldn't feel this way. True. Xbox One, my character list is Skate 3 NPC. It's okay for the bugs and occasional pop-ins. All I wanted was a stable 30 FPS and 90p or even 1080p. Is that too much to expect? What I see here on my screen is the worst looking game I played in PS4. That's tough. People are making big accusations that this is the worst of the worst. That's tough. Hey. That's tough. I totally agree. What else we got? That's crazy now that you think about it. They said, remember, this game was originally coming out in April. All that time, Series X and PS5 hadn't even been announced. So they were really advertising to only the core base. I mean, like the you know what I mean? The PS4 and that. To the PS4 and the Xbox One base. So, oof. All right. Oof. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if you have a console and you're experiencing this. I'm going to keep you guys up to date. I'm going to see whenever they say something. I'll try to relate to you guys. But, yeah, like I said before in other videos, it's a great game. It's just they messed up a very key part of a great game, which is how you can play it. Its playability, its performance. And it's a shame. It's a shame. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to be honest with you. If this game launched without this performance issue, do you understand how much it would have been praised and how much more sales it would have got? They would have broke all-time records. You know what I mean? If you think about it, really. You know, a lot of people, you know, obviously pre-ordered it and then bought it on day one. But now people are more wary because if you go on the Reddit, these are all the most upvoted posts. For like, if you check like top in the last 7 days, it's all about performance. That's just the crazy part. So it was a big mishap in my opinion. Big mishap. But we'll see how the recovery is. Listen, if you miss, that's fine. Listen, if you try and you miss, that's fine. But come back stronger. You know, fix the mistakes. Get it done. That's it. You know what I mean? And listen, with that note, I'm out of here. Stay safe.